Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 68 of the Beginner to Master Speedrun. So I'm currently at 198 wins for the series. Hopefully today we can break 200 wins. And I'm coming in rated 2148, so inching my way closer to 2200. And yeah, let's just hop into the first game. Hopefully we'll have some fun and instructive chess today. Okay, first opponent, playing Iskra Luma. I believe that's Albania. And we have a queen's pawn opening with e3. Not the most active opening. This signifies either a collie or a Stonewall. H3, also a little bit offbeat. I'm going to play a reverse queen's gambit here. Try and be active. Also try and punish my opponent's opening play as much as possible. Okay, we do see a Stonewall. But with H3 included, which already kind of makes me want to punish the weaknesses on the king side. There's a move here, knight e4. Some ideas of knight g3. Also some ideas of e5 and queen h4. So yeah, I'm going to start with this. Like usually in the opening, you shouldn't move the same piece twice. But sometimes it's justified, especially when the opponent is breaking principles. And here, yeah, white prevented knight g3, controlling the square with the queen. But I do have this move, pawn e5. And then, let's say, takes queen h4. King moves here, I fork. King moves here, I fork. So that looks pretty good. I guess there's e5 takes queen h4, g3. And if I take, there's queen f2. Bishop e7. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to go for this. And at the very least, we're trading. So takes queen h4, g3. I could also take with the queen. Queen trade would probably happen, rook h2. Okay, so white is slowing down here. I guess I could have also just been normal, like play e6 or bishop f5. White's playing knight e2, so clearly aware of my ideas. Now queen h4 doesn't really strike that much of a punch because of g3. So, and the benefit to having the pawn here is we can trade and probably open the center. Yeah, I'll take on d4. And usually when the center opens up, it favors a side who has more development, which is black in this case. If pawn takes, I have bishop b4, develop with tempo. Yeah, bishop b4 looks pretty good. And I just want to castle, put the rook on e8, use the e-file. I'm looking for tactics in the center. I mean, d4 is defended. c3 is also pretty well reinforced. So I'll just castle here. And if I get the rook to e8, then hopefully I can generate some tactics on the e-file. White's trying to complete development, bishop e3. So rook e8, I guess maybe white is looking to castle queenside. Which I'm okay with. I mean, there's a lot of attacking potential if white does commit the king to the queen side. Like queen a5, bishop f5, rook c8. I guess it's a question which move I want to start with. Because bishop f5, I guess I would have to calculate g4. I was thinking takes, 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 and then bishop e4. But there might be a spot where white can take the bishop. This might be simpler, queen a5 immediately. Because if takes, takes, queen is hit and the pawn is hit. Yeah, I'm going to start with queen a5. So the pieces are finding pretty good squares. I do want to get these pieces into play as soon as possible. And meanwhile, white's setup is a little bit disharmonious. Like this knight blocks the bishop, tied down to defending c3. This knight's tied down to defending a2. And looks like I'm going to be winning material here. Not only winning material, but probably having some mating attack. Queen a1 likely coming. Queen a1, king c2. Yeah, this might not actually do that much. I mean, I could take and then trade queens and be up a pawn, but I would like a little bit more. I mean, takes queen a1 is also possible. In queen b3, there's queen c2. So it's a little bit hard to keep the attack going. But I think this is probably the best approach, to take first, keeping the initiative, and then check. If king d2, I can check and then win the c-pawn. If king c2, I could check king c1. I could also play queen a4 check. I really want to go crazy, but I don't quite have rook c8 immediately after knight b4. So taking another pause. Check king c1. I might be better off starting with queen a3. That way the queen can't come over immediately. I guess queen a3, there's bishop c4. Queen a3, bishop c4, white's threatening rook a1. Okay, well, what about queen a4? King c1, and then knight a5. Okay, I'm going to start with this. Maybe spending a little bit too much time trying to figure out the most precise approach. This does look good, though, knight a5. I'm just trying to bring in another attacker. And knight b3 is not easy for white to prevent. And now the bishop can't develop actively. I'm not sure what to expect here from white. Like maybe queen c2. I guess there is queen c2, and if I play knight b3, there's king b2. And then it gets awkward for black. White plays king d2. So trying to run with the king. Knight b3, king e1. I think I'll just keep developing. Like once I get the rook into play, there's going to be just overwhelming pressure on white's position. Yeah, white was maybe better off trying to offer the queen trade there. So king e1. Bishop b3. Really just have to choose between a few attractive moves. I'll start with rook c8. I am allowing pawn d5, but that should be okay for black. Pawn d5, I could maybe even play rook e d8 and pin the pawn on the d file. So queen b2, defending c3. Also preparing this. There's knight b3. Yeah, rook a1 is actually a threat. I think I'll just play knight c4. I do allow the trade, but the light squares are going to be so weak in white's position. And c3 is weak. I have the two pawns on the queen side, outside pass pawn. But white's definitely resisting. Yeah, rook c1. I played this, there's queen d2. So I'll go for b5 first. I'll probably a5. I really thought I would have a mating attack. Have to analyze after the game, see if I missed anything clear. I mean, everything's still under control, though. Yeah, might as well put the bishop on d5. Just making sure white can't push and then activate their own bishop. Now I'm probably looking to play rook a8, rook b8, and then eventually push one of the pawns. If queen c5, probably have to allow the queen trade. Queen c5, rook c8 looks nice. Takes, and then I'll take with rook. Queen d6. And everything's defended in my position. So I guess it's a question what my plan is. a4. I'll just attack the queen. Yeah, I probably eventually want to move my queen away from c4 and get my rook to better pressure the pawn. Yeah, again, I don't mind the queen trade. Now, the one thing is there are opposite color bishops, which sometimes makes it more difficult to win a position like this, where I am up a pawn, but yeah, white's going to keep the c-pawn defended. So what to do? a4, rook. I mean, rook b1 is coming. If I play b4, I don't want to simplify. I'm going to play this move. Kind of weird to put my rook in front of my a-pawn. The idea is to put the bishop on c4, maybe even eventually to d3, and then potentially use the rook to invade, or just to trade rooks. Looks fine. And I can still get this clamp on the position, pawn f5. We might see g4, but then g6. G-file opens. I mean, if the rook tries to invade, I'll probably put my king on f6. And then something in white's position is going to have to watch my a-pawn. It's hard for the king to actually cover the queen side. I also now have the defended passed e-pawn. So two passed pawns that white's going to have to keep an eye on. Okay, how to make progress. Probably just a4. It does kind of weaken the dark squares, like if the bishop ever gets to b4. But bishop e7 is prevented for the time being. And now with this pawn better defended, I can mobilize my rook. Either rook to g8 or rook a6 to h6. Looks pretty good. I mean, also just a3, a2. If white allows that, then I probably just go for it. It's not easy to stop. Like, I guess there's rook a3, but then the rook is stuck. White sacrifices a pawn. Do I care? Do I just play a3? The king wants to come in. That's interesting. Yeah, I think I just take it. Now king e6. So I'm up 2 pawns here. Keeping everything defended on the queen side. Rook wants to invade. Let's start with this move. Didn't want to allow rook d6. And now this looks pretty good. With e2 coming. Yeah, this took a lot more work than I was expecting. But sometimes this is what happens in chess. When you get an advantage from early on, it can still take a lot of persistence and patience and some endgame technique in this case. So e2. The bishop is covering e1, but now it's going to be tied down. Now I probably just want to get my rook to a happy place. And white is pretty stuck here. Like, there's not much counterplay. Rook g2 is very hard to stop. Okay, rook d6 is an idea. I think I just allow it. Check, check. So check here, check, I move here. I could even maybe run to h5. Bishop h4, so rook g1, check. I have to be careful. I have to watch my time too. I think this is fine though. Just have to make sure that there's no like weird checkmate. It's calculating rook d6, king h5, bishop g5 threatening mate. Oh, white's stopping the pawn. Now I can move this pawn. a2 coming. Yeah, white can't stop all the pawns. Just enough time left. Queen again. Yeah, just have to not stalemate. Throw in a check. And this is mate, actually. A funny mating idea. Queen f1 to f8. So well-fought game. Yeah, after the opening, I really thought it was going to be much easier, but opponent resisted. And yeah, usually when players play the Stonewall, they play either f4 immediately or develop like this and then f4. But with h3, it allowed me to get some ideas that black usually doesn't get in such openings. And yeah, e5 was the top engine move. And I wasn't 100% sure about this line. Takes queen h4, g3. And then takes and then queen f2. But apparently this is very good for black. Because bishop e7 defends the queen and threatens to take. And there's a line, if knight f3 attacking my queen, I can actually take the rook to counterattack white's queen. I didn't think this far ahead, but yeah, maybe I would have stumbled into it. So, I mean, white took measures to try and prevent queen h4, but then position was really good. I'm really curious if I missed anything better than what I did. Queen takes a2. Engine prefers bishop e6 here, but queen a2 has to be fine. And then takes... Okay, the engine doesn't actually like taking. Even though it opened the king more and allowed the queen to help defend. Queen a5 would have done a better job of keeping the pressure. But I think it was always in control for black. Yeah, knight a5, maybe not the most precise. Going forward. Yeah, it's just one of these positions where I had to accept the fact that it's going to be an endgame grind, but as long as I hold on to my extra pawn, make use of my pass pawns, it's always in control. There's just one more line I want to show towards the end, that if white played rook d7 here, there's a line king g6, rook d6, king h5, and then bishop g5, and black only has one winning move in this position because white's threatening checkmate, so there's no time to queen. But the move is rook takes g5. As long as I don't get mated, then I can queen very shortly. So, okay, nice game, up to 2155. Let's keep it going, and we'll do another. And I think if I win this next game, that'll be 200 wins for the speedrun. So hopefully I didn't just jinx myself. We have a Reti opening, c4, the so-called Reti Gambit. I'm going to play e6. Maybe we'll go into some Queen's Gambit declined. If white plays d4, it transposes. White can also play g3 here, which is somewhat of a weird Catalan. b3 also is playable. Fianchettoing the queenside bishop. And I'm mainly debating what setup I want to go for. Like knight f6 is the most standard move, which I think I'll just play right away. Keep it in more traditional territory. And I'm going to go for a queenside fianchetto myself, b6 and bishop to b7. White's playing d3. So this is another offbeat opening. I think both games so far featuring openings that I really have not encountered probably ever. Some weird move orders. But white is trying to harmonize with the pieces. We might see g3 and bishop g2. And I'm basically playing a reverse Kali setup. Queen c2 might signify that white's going for e4. So I'm just debating, like if I play bishop d6, e4, white is threatening a fork. I guess I would take, and pawn e5. I could also play pawn c5 here. Ideas of d4. Yeah, I think c5 is a bit more justified. Just grabbing space, being active. Bishop d6 is likely coming next and castling. White takes on d5. There's definitely an argument to knight takes d5 or pawn takes d5. I'll play pawn takes d5, just keeping space. Bishop is sometimes blocked in by the pawn, but in cases where I play d4, it can be unleashed if I can draw the right diagonal. So pawn e3. Okay, I'll play bishop d6. So completing development, rook e8 looks natural. Trying to save time too. And pawn d4 makes a lot of sense. Maybe trying to give me an isolated pawn or the hanging pawn structure. So definitely don't want to take. The knight takes is quite solid for white. Rook c8 looks nice. There's queen e7. I'll start with rook c8. Just aligning with the queen. Threatening to take. I imagine white will take, and then considering knight takes. Okay, white doesn't take. I have a few choices here. Knight e4 looks like the most active move. Unleash the queen. Knight e4, if takes, takes. I'll be in very good position to attack on the king side. And there's also queen e7 to keep the tension. I'm going to go for knight e4. This is more intuitive than anything else. And this is just such a typical idea in the structure where black is already supporting the e4 square so many times, and the other knight can come in to support, sometimes cases with knight f6 to g4 to attack on the king side. Also ideas f5. Yeah, I think queen b1 was a little bit passive. Like usually white likes to get rook c1, queen b1. Of course, if rook c1, I would have taken. So I think white should have started with this a move sooner. But this is still probably playable. I'll take back with pawn. So I do have to keep an eye on this bishop. Probably white's best piece in this position. White could maybe go for takes, takes, knight d2, and then reposition the knight to c4. The drawback of this for white is this knight is one of the main defenders on the king side. So I'd probably be happy to get the pawn here. Rook e1 is played. With some X-ray vision. Yeah, I'm liking queen e7. A simple move, getting off the d-file. And this also sets up kind of a sneaky idea of knight takes f2. Which I think if white gives me the chance to play, it should be winning on the spot. Because takes, 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 and I'll win the bishop. And white's whole position just crumbles. So maybe now we'll see takes on e4, then I take, and then knight d2. And then it's a question, can I effectively attack on the king side before white gets counterplay in the center? So takes, takes, knight d2. The queen would be maybe slightly tied down to the bishop, although queen h4 looks playable there. I guess there's also knight f1 for white. I'm imagining takes, takes, knight d2, and then knight e5 with some ideas of knight f3. Could be spicy. White plays queen d3. Interesting. So this does deal with the threat of knight f2, because e3 is better defended. It's like briefly considering ideas of bishop a6. Even c4 takes and then knight c5. I don't think that works though. And there is some idea for white to take, take, and then take. If I play... So maybe I play this. I was thinking bishop to b8, but then there's takes, takes, and d7 is attacked. So knight f6. The idea would be takes, I take back with knight. Bishop takes f6, I would take also back with knight. Just looking for other ideas, but this does seem to be the most solid. And this gives white options. Like white could consider taking, or taking here, or just rook c1. Seem to be the three main candidate moves. I'm trying to figure out if it makes any sense after takes, takes. Okay, never mind. I was going to say lose the bishop, win the knight. So white's trying to be safe. Bishop b8 looks like a very solid move. I'm just making sure there's no issue with the d file. Rook c1 makes sense. Maybe queen e6. Not quite sure what to do here. h6 also just kind of a waiting move. There's rook c6, which could be interesting. Okay, rook c6 actually has a idea behind it. I'll start with this. It does feel strange at first because I'm blocking in my bishop, but I am preparing bishop a6 to skewer the queen and the bishop. And if the queen moves back, I still have this idea of knight takes f2. Which I think white just allowed. So takes f2. If takes, I just take back. And if takes, yeah, the king's just in a ton of danger. All right, let's go for it. I didn't acknowledge that white does have this idea, but it should be fine. I'm hitting the rook on d1. Pawn on e3, also undefended now. Yeah, that's probably the best try. Although I'm wondering, can I take bishop g3? There's rook f1. There's also bishop g3 to start with. But then bishop b5. It's still not super simple. Takes on h3, takes on e3. Okay, takes on e3. If I move back, bishop b5. I play bishop g3. I think bishop g3 might actually be the best approach. I burned some time there, but hopefully this works out. So the point is, if takes, I take, and again, win back material. If bishop b5, I think I just take on e3. And even if I lose the exchange, I mean, there's going to be massive play against white's king. There might even be some smother mating ideas. Okay, takes on e3. So if rook e1, I have takes with double check, and it's a double discovery too. I'm just trying to figure out what to do after takes, because it's not super clear. Like takes, king h1. Do I have... I mean, knight f2 back. But then there's rook takes f2. I think I just have to take first. Ooh. Wait, what to do here? I have knight g4 almost works. Knight g4 takes. Wait, knight g4 might work. I leave everything hanging. But if bishop takes e8, I take. Double check, king here, check. Knight takes check, rook takes checkmate. If pawn takes, I check. King h1, queen h6, king g1, bishop h2. I think I just have to go for this. Already burned a ton of time. I'm leaving my knight, my rook, and my bishop hanging. but it might be checkmate. So yeah, it's super fascinating position. Throwing the kitchen sink at my opponent. Okay, so takes. Okay, this should be checkmate. I'll just verify. This is double check. King h1. I sack the queen. And because I have two knights controlling f2 and bishop controlling h2, that will be mate. Queen g1. Yeah, it's a weird variation of like the classic smother mate, where white's missing a pawn, but bishop controls the square, and it's two knights helping support the mating square on f2. Okay, that felt good. Honestly, I wasn't 100% sure when I played knight g4 if it's actually winning. Apparently I missed force mate here too. We'll go back and see. But knight g4 is winning. Because if takes, then... What was I calculating? I was calculating knight takes g4. Even simpler is knight e4. King h1, queen h6 here. And then... the point is the knight will eventually go to g3. Yeah, hopefully I would have found this. Knight takes h2, queen e3. And then if king h1, knight g3, or like black with a rook takes and then knight g3. So yeah, there's just so many like forcing sequences to navigate through. And the force made in this position was knight takes h3 immediately. King h1. Okay, this would have been hard to see because it's made in 5. But the move to play here is not a check. It's queen h6. And if takes king g1? Rook e2. And then it's just lights out for white. Okay. Well, let's just go back. Let's do some quick analysis through the full game. The opening, I think, was very fine for me. Got a nice solid position. I think white was also very solid, though. Yeah, d4 was a good move from white to at least fight for the center. Engine prefers rook c8 here to discourage d4. Black is slightly better. But d4 was allowed. And then, yeah, going forward... Oh, the engine does say white should have taken and went for knight d2. It's not easy for black to actually attack on the king side. Yeah, queen d3 was a little bit awkward. And I was happy with this idea, rook c6, because with this threat and these ideas, it's not easy for white to find a move. Engine says knight f1 to meet this with this, and then the queen defends the bishop. Queen b1 was a blunder. But then it still got super messy after bishop g3, bishop b5. But a super beautiful finish to sack the rook, sack the knight, the rook, and the bishop. White can only take one thing at a time. White took the rook, and I sack my queen for mate, only having 3 minor pieces in the final position. So I think I want to end the episode with that game. That was a fun one. That was my 200th win of the series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have questions, do leave them below. And if you like the content, do subscribe. It does help the channel. And I'll see you guys soon.